All right. Well, welcome to week 3. And this week we're going to be talking about ghosts as energy. So we're going to explore the idea that ghosts are energy sources or reservoirs of energy, let's say. This is the most common view, typically. It's traditional. It's probably the most traditional view. And it's also the most modern and the most popular perspective shared by most paranormal investigators. So it's very common, and most paranormal investigators probably embrace this view. What's not well articulated is that the individual, here's the body, the individual, or the ego, who they are, what they are, is this energy. Right? Energy is what makes up the personality. Even though you don't see it, you technically don't feel it, but it is that part of us that makes us up, the movement, the motion, the action. Now the word energy, this is what's interesting. The word energy comes from a Greek word which means work. So when we think of energy, we think of that which works, that which is doing something, that which is accomplishing something. So whatever accomplishes the things in our body, to move, to talk, to make facial expressions, to manage all of that intelligently, is energy. It's that part of us, that, let's put the elan vital, or the life force, that makes us who we are. You can't see it, you can't feel it, but it is that part that makes us who we are. All right, so let's go on. All right, when the body dies, presumably, the energy that was used to animate the body continues to exist in the location of the corpse's place of expiration. So here's the corpse, it's dead, and the ghost comes out of the body. Now, it's typically going to stay in the location where the body expired, or where the locus of a majority of its of activity of the deceased went on, because it's going to stay in that location, that locus of energy, that locus of work, what the body had been doing, which is the foundation for its individualness, its personality, who it is, not what it is, but who it is. So that's why we often, paranormal investigators will often say that a specific place is haunted. And the reason why a specific place is haunted is that's where the locus of activity of that individual was going on. So a good way to understand this is by thinking of energy as impressions, like, I don't know if you ever heard of a memory foam mattress on a bed, right? Memory foam mattress on a bed. Here's a ball. When the ball comes down and sits on the bed, it creates an impression. When you take the ball away, the impression is still there, see? Well, that's the same way with the person. The actions of the person, the energy which animated the body, is still going to exist in that particular location. Still going to be there even after the body is gone. So that is basically the theory of the ghost as energy. The personality is there for the individual, and it's no longer housed or embodied in the body, but is now trapped in an embedded location. Right? It's no more embodied in the body, it's embodied in a location, as opposed to a body. So why do ghost study or paranormal communities, why did they begin associating energy with ghosts? Why, before the modern era, ghosts were just seen as spirits. In fact, when we talk about liquor and things like that, we're talking about, they call them spirits. It was a part of the natural world. It was not anything that was unusual or abnormal. We didn't talk about it as energy. We just talked about it as a part of the world. Part of the world was a spirit. So why was it that energy became associated with ghosts? Well, it's really simple. Science, well, I wouldn't say forced. Science inspired ghost hunters, paranormal investigators, parapsychologists, to identify energy as the source for ghosts. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Well, because there was a conflict. There was a conflict between science and spiritualism, which we'll get into an actual movement of spiritualism. Okay, so science versus spirit. There was never a real conflict prior to the modern era within the last few hundred years, but of recent, there has been a conflict. You cannot address spirit without addressing science. Why is and further, why is that? Why is it that there has developed a conflict? Very simple. A guy named Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein as well. Isaac Newton, the guy that had the apple fall from the tree and hit him on the head, right? Well, that's not a true story. It's been made popular with him. Yeah. It was made popular. Hit him on the head. Newton had developed a series of laws of physics. How things, how physics should function. This was not merely, which previous science had addressed, merely addressing certain phenomena in nature. This was representing all of nature, all of the natural world. So no longer were we talking about understand certain phenomena in nature. We were talking about the entire universe, the entire cosmos, could be explained according to Newtonian physics, according to Einsteinian physics later, which is, the theory of relativity and everything like that. But ultimately, Newtonian and Einsteinian theory, there was no room for spirits. Couldn't have them. So, but the problem was, people were still experiencing ghosts. They were still having experiences of ghosts, yet according to the scientific paradigm that they were living in, which we all trust. Because we have, if there is ever a conflict between science and spirit, we're going to have to go with science. Because science is what brought us this phone, it's brought us television, it's brought us all of the wonderful and great things in our modern society. It's very reliable. It's something you can reproduce. It's something that you can objectively test. Spirit is not something like that. Spirit is just an idea. It's just a view. It's a perspective, but it's not something that's testable. It's not something. It's not a very reliable perspective that is the reason why we have all of these wonderful things in the modern era. So science is going to win. It has to win. So if ghosts, or the concept is to be maintained, and people are still having ghostly encounters, something has to change with the paradigm. You cannot just simply say it's just a spirit. We have to identify something. We have to understand what a spirit is within the framework of the Newtonian universe. Within the Einsteinian Newtonian physical universe, we have to explain it as an aspect of it. It cannot be outside here anymore. It has to be in here. So it has to be a feature of the physical and of the physics of reality. So what? And this is a good question. What feature of physics is probably the best candidate to explain ghosts? Really simple. Energy. Of course, this is because energy can be kind of mysterious. You can't see it. You can't feel it per se. You can't sense it. You sense things by virtue of energy, but energy in and of itself is not something you can perceive or something you can sense. So it was a perfect candidate for ghosts. Ghosts are simply energy that resides in the thing. Going back to the body, when we're talking about an animated body, it's animated by energy. That's what makes it up, the elan vital. So we have the elan vital, or the life force, which is nothing more than energy, which animates the body. Now, once the body's gone, well, the theory is that, or the hypothesis, is that the elan vital, the life force in that energy which animated the body, is still there. One reason, of course, for this is that you have the second law of thermodynamics, which states that something cannot be created nor destroyed. You cannot destroy energy. And that's perfect for someone who believes in ghosts, because ideally ghosts are things, or spirits, which exist forever, eternity, infinity. And so is energy. Hypothetically, well, no. According to this law, it always exists. It's not ever going to be destroyed. It's always going to exist in some form or another. It's just going to transfer to another form. So this transference of energy from the dead body, the elan vital that it has, this transference becomes the ghost, which is energy, and this energy causes and affects changes in reality. These changes that it affects in reality we can use as evidence. So we have the elan vital, the life force that comes out, which is energy, and this energy provides evidence. The evidences are things we can hear, we can see, we can feel, and that also affect, as with the dominoes, a causal chain can touch that and push those over. So it can affect changes in the physical environment. So it provides evidence, and that's why it was so compelling, particularly evidence within the physical world. The evidence of ghosts, therefore, are predicated on such things as this. Here's a couple types of evidence that a lot of paranormal investigators like to point to. Temperature, for example. So we have temperature, hot and cold. Now, obviously, cold, if you're walking through an area, the area, a house or whatever, is made up of, it has air molecules that are making up the space that you're moving through. Well, those air molecules typically have a static, a stable temperature. Well, when you have a ghost, when you have an elan vital that's occupying space, then it's going to absorb some of that thermal energy. It's going to take it upon itself, like someone eats something, it's eating that energy, and as it eats the energy, it becomes cold. So when you move through it, you feel a cold spot or cold presence. Therefore, it must be a ghost. Likewise, when you are using like an infrared camera and you spot a warm area in a house or something like that, and there's not something there, not a body emitting it, it must be that elan vital, that life force, that energy which came from the body, and that's emitting that temperature. Also, temperature, that's feeling. That's one way of feeling. Is sight. So you see a ghost. You're here. You see a ghost. I guess you'd be happy about it. You see the ghost. The energy that makes up the life force, the elan vital, that had come out of the dead body, is focused. It's intelligent, supposedly. I don't know how it is without a brain, but according to this hypothesis, it is intelligent in and of itself because it had come from the body, and the body had formed, or I don't know, it had focused that energy, and that focused energy after the body had died continues to be focused. It focuses itself even more because it doesn't have a body to facilitate any of these things, such as being seen. So it focuses its energy in a way that light from any light source, right, can see it. So it concentrates the energy intelligently so that you can see something about it. Likewise, when hearing, if you hear something, the focused energy, just as I fill my lungs with air, I push that air through my throat and through my vocal cords, and then it comes out as sounds. Well, that's the same principle, is this focused energy pushes air, I don't know where or how, pushes air, and it that pushed air is therefore even more focused in a similar way as air is manipulated with vocal cords. It manipulates that energy to where it is as if it's going through vocal cords, and it makes a sound. And also to touch. If you feel a presence touch you, then that focused energy is being focused in such a way, just as any corporeal thing is focused energy, to materialize into a touch. So it materializes into a touch just momentarily so that it can touch something. So this is ultimately the theory of energy and how energy can provide evidence, not something we just thought about as we talked about in memory theory, but something you can tangibly see. But as regards this view, it should be noted that the conservation of energy does not promise this energy to be intelligent, organized, and concentrated. So the second law of energy itself, once it leaves the body, it's not promised, or there's any reason to believe that energy as it leaves the body is continuing to be focused, intelligent, organized, and concentrated. As it is concentrated, focused, and intelligently used in a body. Once it leaves the body, for example, carbon leaves our body once our body dies. It will go into the ground, go into the air, go into the atmosphere. It's once it leaves and once it goes into those deposit areas like the ground or in the sky, it's no longer focused or organized in such a way that it can actually cause motion as in a body. Likewise, when you breathe, when you're breathing in and out, you breathe in oxygen and you breathe out carbon dioxide. This process, it's a transference of energy, sure, just like we see in the law of thermodynamics. It's a transference of energy, and there's just as much energy. It's just not focused. So that's one of the criticisms of this view, is that although you have energy that's leaving the body, because energy can neither be created nor destroyed, it doesn't mean it's focused, and it doesn't mean it's intelligent. So while the energy theory for ghosts offers substantial and in some respects empirical evidence, it seems that it needs to address the problem of how this energy is harnessed. And that's a problem. And it should, which it seems that without a body, it's really hard to do that, isn't it? Because the body is the way that energy is facilitated, the way that it's harnessed, the way that it's concentrated, the way that it's intelligently used with the brain. Now, I'm not suggesting that the energy theory cannot be true, because obviously there's a lot of things we don't know about energy, and maybe something about energy on some quantum level. I don't know. I'm not a physicist. But maybe there's something about it that it can retain some semblance of organization and intelligence. I know there's some people that are panpsychists who believe that consciousness exists in the very quanta, the smallest particle, subatomic particle. And if that is true, then maybe somehow energy can retain some sort of organizational pattern skill. But it seems that it would need something, as I said, outside of energy to organize it. So if a ghost is energy, it seems that there had to be something outside of it to organize it. That in and of itself of energy, that there's nothing in energy that can organize it to do the things that paranormal investigators, that people that believe energy makes up ghosts can do. This could maybe, I don't know, this could be God, could be aliens, I don't know. Could be interdimensional beings, I don't know. But it seems that more than likely, it seems that energy would have to be controlled, manipulated by some external faculty. But again, like I said, I guess it's certainly possible that energy has some self-organizing faculty that after it has come out of a body, it retains it like a mattress foam does. Once it has tasted the blood of humans, it craves that organization and that intelligence, and it continues to act as a human does. I don't know. But the point is that you cannot run on that theory alone without some sort of further explanation of why it is it does that. So in conclusion, the energy theory of ghosts provides tangible proof for spirits. So we have evidence. We do have evidence. That's one good thing. Unlike the memory theory, which provides, it's non-evidentialist. This is evidentialist. Provides evidence, certainly. But at the price of necessity, or necessitating something more than energy. So we have evidence, but this theory necessitates that there's something more to it. There has to be some more research into is there something about energy that makes it self-organizing and makes it like a mattress phone where it remembers how it was organized. That's research that has to be done to understand energy. I don't know if we're at that point yet. Or there's some external faculty which is doing the organizations, taking the energy and which, when we talk about religious theories, which are demonic theories, there are some demonic theories that suggest that demons and other non-human entities, non-corporeal, non-human entities can manipulate energy in the physical environment. I mean, it's obviously just a hypothesis, but that's a possibility too. It could be a demon, could be God, could be interdimensional beings, could be aliens. I don't know. But either way, although the energy theory is a compelling theory and it is one that offers evidence, it certainly requires some further research into the nature of energy itself or some external faculty, something outside of the physical systems which do it. So I thank you for being with me this week. Next week we're going to talk about altered states of consciousness and pseudoscience. We're going to talk about how the scientific method and altered states of consciousness could be explanations for ghosts, and that's more of a scientific discussion. But thank you very much. I hope you have a good week.